Alright, what we're going to do today is we are going to be able to find the surface area of prisms by adding the areas of each face. And the question I just gave you that we're going to do first is a rectangular prism. That is what we need to focus on. I'm not too concerned about triangular prisms anymore. Okay, we just need to be able to find the surface area of rectangular prisms. We're good with that. It's a little easier for you. Even though it's not easy because finding surface area is difficult. But simplifying it down to just one shape, rectangular prisms. Then we are going to be able to find the volume of rectangular prisms using a formula we'll find out here shortly. So on this half sheet of paper, I want you to go ahead and solve for the surface area, which is this one right here. See? What is step number 1? Or what's some important information you need to know before you start finding the surface area? Jordan. What's the base? Okay, good. Emery?
I need to know what the height is.
What the height is? Sydney?
How many faces it has?
Good. I would say that's something that you should look at right away. Know how many faces it has. How many faces does a rectangular prism have? Samantha? It has 6 of them. Alright, so we need to find the area of 6 faces. Add them all up to get the surface area. Where do we want to start? Where would you like to start? Jack. Top and bottom. Alright. At the top and bottom, what is the area of the rectangle? What's the units? Lila. 5 times 8 to get 40 units squared. What should I do to that 40 units squared now? Kaden. Good. Multiply it by 2. Why would I multiply it by 2? Great participation. Gabe. Good. It's top and bottom, so I should get 80 units squared. So that is 2 faces. Where would we like to go next in solving for this? Alex. Where would you like to go next? We have found the top and bottom area, so where would you like to do next? Good. Left and right. What are the units for the left and right rectangle? Kaden. 5 and 11. So here, you get the point? Right there. 5 by 11. So we get 55 units squared. What do we do that 55 units squared all together? Multiply. Nice. I like the energy there. Multiply by 2, then we get 110 units squared. We have another 2 faces. And the last thing we need to figure out is what, Sydney? Front and back. Front and back. What are the units for the front and back rectangle? Caitlin. 11. I should get 88. Multiply that by 2. Squared. What's 88 times 2? Sam? 176 units squared. Do we agree? All right. What is the next step to solve for the surface area? Lila. Add these all together. Should add this is 2 faces. When you add all this together, you should get 366 units squared. Why is it units squared? Paige. Perfect. It's squared because we have length times width. This is a unit times a unit. So you have unit squared. Unit squared, unit squared. We are adding these together. We're combining like terms. So we don't change these units. They just stay the same when we combine them. Did we find the area of all 6 spaces? That's 2, 4, 6. Questions on that? Liam. The volume? Well, how's this different? Great question. That leads us into the next topic. The volume of rectangular prisms. So what I want you to do with the people around you, talk about what is volume. Give a real life example of volume. Why would we need volume? How do you find volume? All those different things. Come back together. What is volume? How do you find volume? What do you know about volume? Anything? Emery? Length times width. Okay, what else? Caitlin? Volume is the inside of an object. Gabe? Volume equals length times width times height. When might we use volume? Kaden? Too much water you can fit in a water bottle. What else? I know I think about volume when it's really hot outside in the summer and sweating, and all I want to do is run up the ladder, jump on the diving board, and do a big cannonball into the pool.
Ocean.
To the pool, right? How does that use volume, what I just explained right there? How does that use volume? Where does it use volume? Caitlin?
The people running the pool, they have to know how much water to put in the pool.
Absolutely. The water fills up the pool. The water inside of the pool is the volume. Emery, go ahead.
We use volume to measure density.
Use volume to measure density. All right. Anyone else? Which formula do you think is correct up here? Jordan? Length times width times height. Do we all agree with Jordan? Okay, this is the formula. Length times width times height. Turn your guided notes over now. There is another formula. Go ahead and read the key concept to yourself. What is another formula for volume? Paige. Base. Hold up. Don't we use base times height to find the area of rectangles? Do we? Okay, what is different about that and the volume of base times height? Talk to your neighbor. What's the difference? All right, let's come back. We all agree with this. Find the area of a rectangle. You can do base times height. We agree with that? Yes. Right. What is the difference? Because the volume of a rectangular prism is different than the area of a rectangle. Would we all agree with that? Yes. Okay, good. What's the difference up here? Sam? Good. In volume, the B is capitalized. What? Did I do that on purpose? Or was that a mistake? All right, let's come back. Lila. On purpose. Why did I do it on purpose? What does a big B represent? And not Bettinger. All right, Paige. Maybe it's a 3D object, okay? We got some people not paying attention. They probably should. Sam. It represents the base of the shape. How do you find the base of the shape? Caden. 5 times 8, which is also like, how do you find it? Using letters. Jack. Length times width is the same thing as a big B. So, two ways to find the volume of a rectangular prism. You can do the length times the width times the height. Or you can find the base of the rectangular prism, which is down here, and then multiply it by its height. Both of them are the exact same thing. Are we all good with that? One thing I do want to show you are these little cube things. This is volume. This is 1 cubic. Cubic. Sorry, I lost the word. It's a cubic unit, right? Cube is 3. It's length times width times height. This is volume. How many of these can we fit inside of here? Filling it all the way up. That would be your volume. Volume is the amount of space it takes inside of a 3D object. So when we get our answer, you can think of, it's one of these. How many of these did we fit inside? Okay? All right. See if you can find the volume of this rectangular prism. You may talk with your neighbor. How do we find the volume of this rectangular prism? Hint, what's the formula? So we have to start when we solve something like this. Samantha. Volume equals base times the height. All right. How do we find the base of this rectangular prism? Lila. Good. 5 times 8 is our base. It is the area of the base, which is 40 times, what is the height of this rectangular prism? Page 11. So volume equals, what is 40 times 11? Again, with geometry, we are allowed to use calculators. Nikki? 440? All right. We agree. Units squared. Do we agree? Why don't you stand up if you think it's units squared? No one thinks unit squared. I just put it up here. I'm like, yeah, that's unit squared. Yeah. Thank you, Samantha. Thank you, Gay. Thank you, Paige. Oh. Okay. If you are seated, then convince these 4 people to have a seat. Why is it not units squared? Alex. Okay, now why is it units cubed? Emery. Come back to you. Jack.
Because it's length, it can be length times width times height.
It can be length, units, times the width, units, times the height, units, units, times units, times units, gives you units cubed. Okay? Alright, so this is the correct answer. Alright, now what if we didn't use the other formula? What's the other formula we use? Sydney. That's what we just used. Alright, what is the length of this rectangular prism? Okay. 8. What is the width? Jack. 5. What is the height? Caitlin. 11. We multiply all those together, we should get the 440, right? Units cubed. Sounds pretty good, right? You can handle that? Alright. You will not be using whole numbers to solve these problems. They're not going to be whole numbers. They're going to be rational numbers. So they are going to be fractions, mixed numbers. Okay? So on your guided notes, you can turn over to the front. Alright, this is what I mean by they're going to be fractional. We have fractions as our length, width, and height. Can we still use the formula to solve for this?
Yes.
Can we still use a calculator to solve for this?
Yes.
Yes. Raise your hand if you forget how to put a mixed number into your calculator. All right. We're going to plug in volume equals length times width times height. What is the length of this rectangular prism? Liam. 3 1/2. So, in your calculator, type in 3. ABC, which is 3 buttons above the 7. Type in 1. ABC. 2. Nothing more. That is 3 1/2. Times the width. What is the width of this prism? Alex. 2 1/2. So type 2 1/2 in. 2 ABC 1 ABC 2 times the height. What is the height of this prism? Caden. 1 1/2. So then you type in 1 ABC 1 ABC 2. All right, what do we get for an answer after we type in all 3 of those multiplied by each other into the calculator? We should get what, Caitlin? 13 1/8. Okay? Feet cubed. Do we agree with that answer? Just gonna stare off the spaces.
Yes.
Yes.
There we go. Thank you. All right, we good with that? All right, now, thank you. I'm going to make it a little more challenging here, as about as challenging as I can make it. All right, since I forgot the joke. What do you call two spiders who just got married? Newlyweds. All right, thank you. I appreciate it. I am here every Friday. Except for last week when I forgot. Because it's Thursday. I'm not funny on Thursdays. So, all right. We are going to, in your guided notes, part 2, that rectangular prism is identical to this rectangular prism. You see how they're kind of similar? They look a little bit like each other. I want you to write these numbers in with me. Okay? These are going to be all in inches. That is a 4. Okay. Does anyone know what I just did? Jordan. I labeled all of them. Why did I do that? Jack. You know, Jack, you're kind of right. You know, one of the things that drives me crazy when we get a problem like this, and there's 3 numbers. What are you going to do? Just multiply the 3 numbers. Does that help you? It doesn't really help you. You need to know which one is the length, which one is the width, which one is the height. Okay, so that's what I did in this problem. I just labeled more than 3 side lengths. So you need to figure out which 3 you need to use. Okay, so, end class, go ahead and solve for the volume of this rectangular prism. All right, what is the formula for the volume of a rectangular prism? Liam? Volume equals length times width times height. You don't know the volume? What is the length of this rectangular prism? Caitlin? 8 1/4. I would agree with that. Inches times the width. What is the width of this? Samantha? Times 2 3/4 inches. And then the height is what? Emery?
Times 5
5 1/3 inches. When we multiply those 3 together, what do we get? Sydney?
121 inches.
Come out to be a whole number? Do we agree? Yes? Okay. Alright, if you put those 3 into your calculator, multiply them here. 121 inches cubed. Again, it's cubed because we have inches times inches times inches. Any questions, comments, concerns? There is no homework this weekend. Can I quickly? I need to